That kind of change for us all is no restart.
Big move in Bitcoin then, in contrast to all the notes I wrote pre-show, which were telling me that this was going to put Bitcoin under pressure.
The narrative that perhaps this launch of these political meme coins will sap flows from Bitcoin is showing us that it's really not the case this morning. If anything, it's just accelerated the momentum and the excitement around cryptocurrency under another Trump administration.
Hi, Dewald. What is all this FOMO about? Should I buy Bitcoin now?
Are you smoking your socks? You should rather watch my show. You should rather watch my show.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are, from all over the world. I know that I've got people here watching this live stream from many places. So welcome to another live stream. Ooh, Bitcoin has absolutely rampaged here to the upside. And yesterday in my live stream, I said, wouldn't it be nice when we were trading over here? Or right, for Bitcoin to go and actually tap the 786. So quite a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a short, nice little powerful live stream. And right, we can go and analyze the smaller time frame in terms of what I'm looking for next. And right, legends, is the move here to the upside coming to an end? That's the most important question. Or are we just going to continue here to the upside, claim the all-time high, and the bull market is back, baby? Right, and this was the low. Whew. Right, legends, quite a lot to talk about, so stay tuned for the alpha. If you haven't smashed that like button just as yet, make sure that you do so. And I will say hi to the community in a little while. But let's start with a technical analysis over here. Remember, legends, I trade with the links down in the description of this video that you're watching right now. I've got Weeks and I've got Bluffin. Bluffin and Weeks over here. Weeks, 20% cash back on the money that you deposit in your features account to trade with for free. Also 25% discount on your trading fees, and you get by selecting the second link for Weeks spin to win guaranteed prizes. The more you trade, the more you unlock opportunities to come and spin this wheel here for guaranteed prizes. Okay, for the larger account holders, because I have noticed from the analytics, okay, that people with $10,000 accounts and up, they really enjoy trading here on Bluffin. So there's also an amazing deal. The more you trade, the more money gets airdropped into your account. Okay, all you need is an email and a password to start trading. Right, legends, let's dive into some technical analysis in over here. So from a larger time frame perspective, okay, I mean, it's quite obvious. You take a fib from the all-time high to the all-time low. We have now claimed the 786. Great, because now that's eliminated one of the bearish case scenarios that I am looking at. And that bearish case scenario is this little bad boy over here. Not this one, this one. Right. So, well, okay, let me rephrase. It has not eliminated the scenario. It has decreased significantly the probabilities, because price tapped the 786 in a WX wide to the upside. When the retracement goes this deep and it taps the 786, it significantly reduces the probabilities that if price had to fall here to the downside, that you will form a higher low for continuation back to the upside and not claim the low of W right over there, this little low of W. So that is now the one bearish case scenario that has been invalidated. Legends, I will dive into the smaller time frame and we will look at this structure here to the upside, okay, in a moment. The one bearish case scenario that we still need to keep in mind is this one. Okay, I just want to simplify it. I actually want to take this one out. I mean, it's rampaged quite nicely to the upside. So there's a chance that I can move this over here. So legends, this is still one bearish case scenario that I am keeping an eye on. Okay, so when you look, let's go here onto the 8-hour structure. Unfortunately, this bearish case scenario has not been invalidated as yet. Okay, all of this to the downside, since we made the tippy top over here, all of this to the downside was an A wave. And now you have a corrective structure in a A, B, C here to the upside. Okay, to form your B wave. And then you come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go and complete your C wave. So although we have invalidated taking the low of W over here with the WXY structure, there is unfortunately always a bearish case scenarios. As a technical trader, okay, if you know how to analyze the price, there will always be a bullish and a bearish case scenario. You will never be able to sit in a situation where there's only bullish case scenarios or only bearish case scenarios, because then there's something that you are missing. Okay, so a good technical trader will always have in the back of his mind, okay, this looks bullish as hell. People are euphoric. Altcoins are breaking out. Okay, we're going back to all-time highs. Okay, I just need to stay level-headed in terms of there is a scenario where you could tumble down to $62,000 in A, B, C to the downside. This scenario has unfortunately not been invalidated, and the invalidation for this scenario is high. Okay, B waves are notoriously difficult, and the invalidation, unfortunately, for this B wave is still a little bit higher. Okay, you take a trend-based FIP from the high that we've created, okay, to the low that we've created, you drag it across, you reverse it to the upside, and now you guys will see what I mean. The invalidation for this B wave is the 1.618 at $131,000. Right, so there is a chance that you could form a flat and it rolls back down to create the C wave. It's not allowed to tap the 1.618. So there's still a lot with the, from a trading perspective, even if price continues here to the upside, there's still a lot that we can benefit from a trading perspective, playing longs here to the upside. This could still be a significant move. Some people might even argue, well, this is the bull run. This is the last leg of the bull run here to the upside. And that's why I always said in my live stream, legends, we will take it level by level. Okay, I do have bullish case scenarios from an Elliott wave perspective that can even take the price to $400,000. But I've always said the probabilities based on the structure here to the downside, I've always said the probabilities are higher to claim the high, okay, before we claim the low at $48,000. I've always said that. And for those of you that are diehard fans over here that's been following me with every single stream, you know that I have been saying that, okay? Because of this structure not being impulsive, the probabilities are always higher to claim the high before we claim the low all the way down here at $48,000, 870, give or take. Right, and the probabilities will remain even if we get a flat, guys. If we get a B flat here to the upside, let's say price continues here to the upside, it goes to $180,000, right? It rejects here by the 1.236 and it falls down. Depending on what this structure looked like, I will again highlight, okay, there's still a lot that needs to play out. There's still a lot of weeks and maybe a couple of months that needs to pass if we're going to fall here to the downside. Based on this structure, I will make another probability, okay? Especially if we reject over here, there's potentially still a high probability that even with a C wave to the downside, the probabilities will still be higher to claim the high again before we claim the low. Right, but there's still a lot that needs to happen before I can give that probability any motive or a motivation in terms of carrying some form of probability here to the upside. Right, legends. So this is the only bearish case scenario that I do have at the moment is still the possibility. What if this was the top and this is all just part of a corrective structure? but it's still a 3-wave structure. 3-wave structures, okay, always gives you a higher low for continuation back to the upside. Right, so we just need to see, well, if we do get the correction to the downside, is it corrective or is it impulsive? Okay, right, legends, let me take the scribble out the way. And before I finish here on the larger time frame, okay, and I know I'm talking about a crazy bullish case scenario over here. I'm talking about a potential bullish case scenario of $400,000. I also have a bullish case scenario for $130,000. But if price continues here to the upside and it taps the 1.618, depending on the corrections, I will again be able to place probabilities on the structure. Are we moving higher or are we moving down correctively? Are we moving up correctively, or are we, you guys get the point, right? So now what I want to do is I want to switch off the scenario and let's go and focus on this little structure that we've so far formed here to the upside. Remember guys, I always say nothing moves up in a straight line. The retracement for the structure has been very shallow at the moment. And the most bullish case scenario that I have spoken about here, and I said it does carry low probability, but what if, is a 112. 1 2 1 2, and it just 3 4 5 4 5 here to the upside until it reaches $120,000 to the upside. So the opportunity for that scenario is still in play. But there's a couple of things I want to highlight that I'm seeing inside of this structure. So although there is a possibility for a 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5, you basically still want to see upwards momentum without any shallow retracements. Okay, well, without any longer retracements. Shallow retracement pump, shallow retracement pump. It needs to continue the momentum that it's creating here to the upside without slowing down. Okay, we have the weekend coming up, Saturday, Sunday morning. Usually you get very boring, rangy price action. Okay, so the magic needs to happen today before the markets close. It needs to rip here to the upside to give us this scenario. Okay, if price is going to start consolidating, slowing down, okay, and this is what I want to point out right now. This scenario, 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5 to the upside, still carries low probability. And this is what I'm seeing inside of the structure at the moment. Okay, let me take the scribble out. Let's zoom in. In a 1 2 3 4, and we're now busy with the final leg here to the upside. Okay, this is the most obvious way to count the structure. There's a couple of tricks and tips that you get taught in Elliott wave theory, is that your third wave carries the most amount of volume. And then when price pushes the last push to the upside, you want to see volume decreasing, because that gives you a clue that you're now busy with the final leg to the upside. And what I can see at the moment is that the most amount of volume was in wave 3. Now we're pushing up further to the upside with less volume. Can you guys see the difference in volume? If I take a trend over here, you can see volume is tapering down. Okay, can you guys see volume is tapering down? So we're getting more momentum to the upside with less volume, which gives me a clue that this could potentially be the final wave, okay, before we get a deeper retracement to correct this entire impulse. Right, the question is just, where is it going to correct? But there's a very interesting level to the upside that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Okay, right, so let me take all the scribble here out the way. So based on volume and based on what the structure looks like, it looks like it needs, right, maybe one more push over here. I'm going to analyze this structure in a second at the moment. I'm going to analyze this local structure in a second. So I want to start on the larger time frame, go to the 4-hour time frame, then go to the 15-minute, maybe then go to the 5-minute and show everyone what I'm looking at. Okay, so we're diving, you know, we're taking it from an eagle's eyes perspective, and we are zooming in. Right, so legends, based on what I'm seeing, volume tells a story. Volume is telling me a story over here, is that we are pumping here to the upside with less volume. Okay, we had more volume in wave 3, which now I need to put the puzzle pieces together. Okay, in Elliott wave theory, your third wave has the most amount of volume, right? Now we're pushing up again, very aggressively, but on less volume. So that's a bit concerning, okay? That needs to start giving you a clue. Okay, maybe the top is very close. Okay, maybe that top is very close over here where the fifth wave is potentially now coming to an end and the structure needs to correct itself. The beauty about the structure is that we can now all clearly see that this is a 5-wave structure to the upside. Absolutely amazing. That's what you want to see. Okay, the retracements becomes very interesting then. Okay. Right, this is usually where smart money buys. Smart money does not buy this pump. Smart money first wants to see if this is an impulsive structure and they become interested in the retracement, especially if it's a 3-wave structure to the downside. So this retracement is going to be very importante, okay, like Andy likes to say, right? For a bullish bounce, a bullish CVD needs to build up between these two pivots. Maybe there's a nice little trend that's going to form there. You play the breakout for continuation to the upside. Right, so this is what I see here on the 4-hour time frame. So let me take the scribble out. Let me take this trend fib out. What I also want to do is I just want to quickly put this fib back. Right, take a fib from the high to the low. Now we have claimed the 786. Beautiful, love it. And we're currently getting a reaction by the 786 level. Okay, the 0.88 also looks very interesting to me for a possible rejection. Okay, because when I switch on my resistance and support boxes to the up and to the downside, you can see, well, okay, looking at the structure over here, we have punched through resistance. There was a reaction and then we punched through. We punched through resistance here at the 786, and this is where price is currently consolidating. So what is very important to me now as a technical trader is to analyze this structure. Is this structure coming to an end, or is there still one more high on the cards? Maybe tapping the 0.88, because you guys have to remember from a probability perspective, often what happens on the 1 minute time frame, 5 minute, 15 minute, 1 hour, every single time frame, okay, when you claim the 0.88, often what happens is price grinds against the level, it builds a bull flag and it continues. Or what it likes to do as well is it rejects by the 0.88, so we get one more high here to the upside. You get acceptance back below the resistance. You swing failure from the 0.88, and price loves to retrace back to the golden pocket and the 0.5. It creates a higher low and it continues and it takes the high. So that's definitely something that I'm still keeping in mind, is to say that, well, even if we get a deeper retracement, but we have to reject by the 0.88. Because once you tap the 0.88, then there's an increased probability that you're going to find a higher low in this zone and take the high. Right, so this retracement to the downside is going to become very interesting to play a nice little epic long back to the upside. Okay, so legends, that's basically the high time frame analysis. Now what I want to do is go into 15-minute time frame. Let's see what's cooking here on the 15-minute time frame. Right, even the 10-minute time frame. We can go in here on the 10-minute time frame. Right, legends, with this momentum to the upside, and this is something that I always preach to our pro members as well, is that regardless of how you count the structure from an Elliott wave perspective, just apply your trading strategy. Okay, beautiful breakouts. There was a breakout, you know, with the FMOC Fed press conference meeting. There was many breakouts during the strike. This is one that I played yesterday, right? And then again, we just broke out every single time. Bull flag, breakout, bull flag, breakout. 3-wave structure, breakout. You just apply your trading strategy. Stop goes below the low. TP at the high. Leave some of the position open for higher levels. Another trend starts forming. You add to your position. So what it does is if you have an entry over here, it's an advanced style of trading. Okay, but when you are in a long and you have already taken profits on the way up and price continues with the moon bag here to the upside, it forms another trend and you play that breakout. What happens is it drags your entry up. because now you're adding back into the position. But you could still have your stop loss above your entry, which means that you are still protected all the way to the upside. Taking profits, adding back to the position. Taking profits, adding back. It is a little bit of an advanced strategy. Some people struggle with the strategy. But I think what is most important is from a structural perspective, where are we? Okay. So, legends, this looks like a wave 1 and a 2. Okay. Definitely looks like a 1 and a 2. And one could even argue, well, maybe this was 1, 2, 1, 2, and it's now going 3, 4, 5, 4, 5 here to the upside. Because there's a lot of amount of volume. Remember, I like to look at volume in confluence with Elliott wave theory, support and resistances, but there's a lot of volume in this candle, which only happened here. Okay, so this can't be a 1, 2, 3. Because there's not enough volume in this move to count as a 3. So this has to be part of the third wave. So what I'm kind of seeing over here is that this entire structure is still part of the third wave. Because it has a lot of volume kicking in here at the moment. And I have not seen a corrective structure that matches this corrective structure or this corrective structure over here. Because now there's a couple of ways in which you can count the structure. Okay, did the structure, let me just clean this up. Let me take this out the way. Let me switch off the stuff just to clean up the chart so we can all see what is cooking over here. Take the trend lines out. Okay, there we go. Take that out. Clean up the kitchen. Okay, right. This box needs to go into stuff. Need to switch it off. There we go. So, legends, now there's a couple of ways. You can either say that this is a 1, 2, this is all still part of 3. But remember, even if this 3 here to the upside, inside of 3, you need 5 waves. Okay, very bullish 5 waves. This could be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, and it can still go and make one more high to the upside. Right. Also, what I wanted to see is if I take a fib from this low to the high, oops, trend-based fib, always the wrong fib, okay, from this low to the high to the low that we've created here, I reverse it to the upside. Always interesting to me to see which targets did we tap, where are we getting the rejection. So we got the rejection yesterday as per the live stream at the 1.618, which is a third wave target. And then we punched higher to the 2 extension. That's currently where we're getting the rejection. The next level to the upside is the 2.618 in confluence with the 0.88 that I've just shown you guys on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, remember what I said, guys, yesterday is that the third wave's most common target is the 1.618. It's the most common target, but third waves can really rock and roll to the upside. They can go to the 2, they can go to the 2.618, they can go to the 3, they can go to the 3.618. You never know when a third wave is going to stop unless it starts creating a longer consolidation that matches wave 2. So if price starts consolidating and tumbling down over here, and you see a larger corrective structure that matches this corrective structure, then you're like, okay, maybe one more high. Okay, to complete the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here to the upside. Okay, because now you can see a decent fourth wave. So you have to wait for the corrective structure to start playing out. At the moment, price is just pushing to the upside. Okay, so if I go here onto, now we get to the trading scenarios. Okay, this is what everyone is waiting for, the trading scenarios. Right, so let me take this out the way. Let me take this fib out the way. This morning, Aditya, or Aiden, Mr. Aiden Ryan, highlighted this trade inside of our Legends Pro community. Beautiful. Simple. Break of trend. Right, this morning, I saw Mr. Aditya, I was watching the same trend. Okay, he said, guys, watch for the breakout. Watch for the breakout. And we broke out. And I mean, what a beautiful trade. Right, can you guys see how you just apply your trading strategy? You play the breakout, you target the high, your stop goes below the recent low. What a beautiful 5.43 risk to reward. If you played this trade, and if you are inside of our Legends Pro community, you know, okay, you know that you need to take profits at the highs, because now price is back Okay, didn't stop you out if you're still in the trade. If you left your stop loss there, you're still in the trade, and it's currently getting a little bit of reaction here to the upside. Okay, so beautiful trade that played out this morning inside of our Legends Pro community. Third link down in the description if you'd like to come and join our Legends Pro community, where we have the coaches looking at altcoins. We've got Aditya looking at Bitcoin, myself, Andy, providing daily technical analysis. Right, just a beautiful break of trend. And I mean, there was another one over there, right? D-line strategy to perfection. Know exactly where to put your stop loss. You know why you're entering. You know where to take profits to the upside. Now, the question is, right now, legends, now what? I'm not in any trades. What do I do right now? Okay, sometimes you need to be a little bit patient, and you now need to wait for a new trend to form over here. Okay. So, question is, did we already get the breakout? Okay. Because this structure, I mean, there's a lot of Elliott wave scenarios that I can apply over here, but there is a potential that this could be, let me take this little one over here, A, B, C, a running flat. And now we're going to find momentum back to the upside. So there's potentially now another trend breaking out over here. The one thing that I'm always a little bit cautious about is that sometimes when the trend is not finished forming, you could have had a trend over here. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, this is why it's never really as easy as I sometimes make it out to be. You could have been watching this over here. Okay, let me take this out the way. Okay, I'm waiting for the break of trend. Maybe you had your trend over there, right? I'm going to play the breakout. And then what happens is you get a little bit of momentum to the upside and it claims the low. So this is, if you did attempt a trade, that's why I'm saying sometimes you get stopped out. This would have most probably been a stop out. If you did play the breakout over here, your stop goes below the recent low, you would have now been stopped out with a teeny weeny little tiny stop loss over there. Because guys, look at this, right? If you played the breakout, you were targeting the high, okay? Your stop loss was below the lows. That is a 0.16% stop loss. It's nothing. It is tiny. Right? If you blowing a hole in your account because you played a breakout, for example, over here, and you have a big hole in your account, you are seriously over leveraging your entire position. Okay, you should not be losing a lot of cash with small little stop losses like this. What I like to do in a situation like this is, if I had to jump into this trade and I got stopped out, okay, let's let it play out again over here. So this is the rules that I apply. As soon as the low gets taken, my rule says I have to adjust my trend. Okay, then I would have done that. Right, and then I would have most probably had another attempt and played this little breakout over here. Stop goes below the low. 0.25% stop loss. You're targeting the high. Risk to reward is a 6.82. Okay, and then you let the trade play out. TP hit out the trade. So can you see that even if you played this breakout and you got stopped out, the profits over here paid back that stop loss plus much more into your account? Okay, that's the power of trading, is how little can I lose? And when I win, how big can I win? And that is the power of also the risk to reward over here. 6.82 risk to reward. Absolutely amazing. It paid back that stop loss plus put 5 times more money back into your account. Right, so it's not always easy, and I just wanted to highlight the specific scenario to say that, you know, Dewald, when you draw the trend lines, it looks so easy, okay? Sometimes I also get stopped out because maybe the trend is not finished forming. And this is what I want to now show everyone over here, okay? You apply your trading strategy long. You play the breakout, you're targeting the high, maybe even a little bit higher, because the first resistance, major resistance to the upside, is this little point of control at $104,000. We have a little point of control over here, so that could now be your profit taking area for this little breakout. Okay, stop goes below the low over there, and now you have a 4.59 risk to reward. Okay, can you see the more you FOMO into a trade, or if you catch a trade later, do you see how it decreases the risk to reward, meaning that you are risking more money than what you are making to the upside, which does not make the trade worth it anymore. So you have to catch it when it breaks out, and if you don't catch it, don't FOMO into the trade. Okay, so there is now a potential trade playing out here, but I want to highlight that the same thing could happen what happened over here. Okay, so I'm giving you guys a little bit of trend line education, how I like to play it. If price decides, okay, bam, it falls down here, it makes another low, okay, my rule states I need to adjust my trend. Exactly what happened over here. Price comes back up, breaks the trend, I have another attempt. Okay, that's basically, you know, how I roll here with the trend line strategy. But can you guys see, regardless of Elliott wave theory, the momentum is still to the upside. I can see that there's some nice red or purple, in my case, volume kicking in. We have some resistance to the upside. Okay, it does look like the structure needs one more high, at least one more high to the upside. Okay, just want to see. Right, also I looked at CVD and we have insane bullish CVD building up, which tells me that maybe the bulls are not done just as yet. Let me just refresh this. Okay, and I'm looking for signs of strength when I play the breakout to the upside as well. Do I have signs of strength? Holy moly, look at this. Okay, you have a higher high on price action. Price is grinding to the upside, and look at this. CVD is absolutely tanking to the downside, which shows me that retail money is aggressively trying to short where we are at the moment. I don't want to trade with retail. I want to trade with smart money. So I would rather consider a long in this zone than a short, trying to look for shorts. Okay. Right, legends, these are basically the trading scenarios that I'm watching at the moment. Okay, to the upside, let's talk about a couple of shorts. I'm looking at the naked point of control and the 0.88 at $105,000, 733. Okay, let me zoom out again onto the 4-hour time frame. Wait for price to load up. There we go. Okay, I've just highlighted all the point of controls. A little bit of resistance. Can you guys see this little consolidation area over here? That has a point of control, okay, with a high volume node. So that could potentially be a rejection area over there. It also becomes a profit taking area if you are in a long from the downside. Okay, but the 0.88, very interesting. I will consider the 0.88 and this naked point of control, see how price reacts. I could potentially get in with a free position to the downside, like I've explained many times in terms of how I play swing failure patterns. Okay, it's beautiful to get that reaction at the level. You protect your position, you have a free trade, you can breathe. I'm in and my money is protected. If it wants to fall, I'm going to make money. If it stops me out, I lose nothing. Okay, and I often show everyone here on the live stream how I get into those trades. Right, legends, but for now, okay, we have to acknowledge, and this is why I'm still looking for longs. We have to acknowledge the trend is up. It's in your best interest to look for longs. I am highlighting resistance areas to the upside. That becomes profit-taking areas if you are in longs, and also maybe, you know, it provides an opportunity where it does finally start rolling over and the structure starts correcting itself. Okay, remember, if we do reject by the 0.88, the golden pocket, the 0.5 becomes a very, well, this consolidation area becomes very interesting, okay, for price to find support and go and claim the all-time high. Very interesting level indeed. Okay, because this could be a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Okay, I'm not sure how the structure is going to play out, legends, but what I can do is apply my trading strategy. Let me go through the comments, okay? Right. I made $5, ha ha ha, to trade BTC with low capital, but got to start somewhere. Yes, you got to start somewhere. The Ducken, I can tell you now, my brother is a small time frame scalper. He goes into the 5-second, 10-second, 1-minute time frame as his favorite time frame to trade. What he loves to do is that he will take $10, $12, and by the end of tonight, I usually get a screenshot from him saying that, oh, I turned it into $400, $500. I want to show you guys this. Let me see if I can find that screenshot that he showed me the other day. Right? My brother is an insane scalper. He loves to take small amounts of cash, and he does, I don't know how he does it. Okay, he was at my house here a couple of weeks ago and we did it together. It's absolutely amazing how he does it, but you have to be fast. You have to focus. You have to be there ready with your position. You in, you out, you in, you out, you in, you out. You have to trade with an exchange with low trading fees, because the moves that he plays up and down is so small that if you're trading with an exchange with large fees, it doesn't make the trades worth it. Okay, let me see if I can find that. I want to share this with everyone. Yeah, we send each other a lot of messages. Let me see if I can find this. Here we go. Okay, download. Let's download this out of my WhatsApp. Okay. Doom, 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 doom. Honest, if you are inside of the stream, okay, I'm just using your stuff to show everyone that it is possible to make a lot of money with small accounts. Oh, it's not that. Maybe I need to open it. I'm just trying to figure out how I can paste this screenshot in here. There we go. Right, this is what my brother, John Wick, he calls himself John Wick, right? He's a John Wick trader. He trades on Mexi because of the low fees, but he also says he enjoys trading on weeks because if you hold the native token, you get discount on the trading fees. So this day, when he sent me this, he started with $12. And before he went to bed, he sent me this. So he made, with $12, $414. Here's his P&L for the day. Right, so I want to show you guys that even with $5, even with $1, even with $2, if you know what you are doing, it's possible to make a lot of money in trading, right? It's not my style of trading. My brother has a scalping style of trading. I think the benefits of that style of trading is that you can take small amounts of money and turn it into large amounts of money. Okay. The con of his trading style that I don't particularly like is that it requires a lot of screen time. You get headaches. You can't leave your screen alone. You have to have very stable internet connectivity. You have to, it's a very focused game. You cannot be interrupted. Okay, it requires too much screen time. I don't have the time to stare at my charts for 12 hours the entire day. Right, but I just wanted to show everyone that it is possible. Okay. I have no idea what's going on. Make your bro to do a live stream with such trading. I think it would actually be a very interesting live stream if I can get him into a live stream and I just say, Hannes, show, his name is Hannes. Hannes, show us how you do it. And I can tell you guys now, it will be too fast, because when you are sitting right next to me, you'll be like, enter now, exit now, enter now, exit now. Like, it goes fast, like you can't keep up. And if you're a little bit late or a little bit too slow or whatever the case might be, you miss the trade. Okay. Or you enter by the time he's already taking profits. He's an absolute legend. Right. Dewald, can we count the structure from the all-time high to the low of April as a completed correction? And if yes, what carries more probability, the macro ABC or the completed correction? Mr. Jack, now that is a very good question. A very relevant question, I might add. Okay. I hate to say this, and I don't actually want to answer this question, and people are most probably going to crucify me, because when price pumps to the upside, people don't want to hear about bearish case scenarios. Okay, so legends, let me discuss the probabilities, and the probabilities that I'm about to discuss with you is purely based on technical analysis. It's not because I'm biased, purely based on technical analysis. So we have the ABC, okay? Well, let me try and find the end of the corrective structure. Okay. So this is a potential end of the corrective structure where we have made the low at $74,000 right over here. The only way that I can count the corrective structure to have ended over here is a WXYXZ. When I open up my Elliott wave tools, you guys can see this is the structure that I'm referring to. You get a WXYXZ. You get a WXY, which is very common. You get a ABCDE, which you usually get inside of your fourth waves. Okay, you get a normal ABC. This is the most common corrective structure that everyone knows about. And then you get your impulsive structures to the upside. This little bad boy over here, I just have to highlight, is a very rare corrective structure. It's not a preferred corrective structure, and it states that it's a structure that should only be considered once all other scenarios fail. So I can count this as a WXYXZ that has come to an end. It balances, the levels make sense, everything is perfect about the structure, but it is considered a very rare structure. Okay, so because this is considered a rare structure, and it states that all probability should be considered first before you bet on the completion of such a structure, therefore the ABC corrective structure carries higher probability. Okay, I don't want to say that, but I just have to highlight that. So is there a chance for the low to be in? Definitely. Okay. Right. But now, this is now where it becomes interesting. Is this the low? Okay, because remember, a corrective structure does not necessarily have to make another low for the corrective structure to come to an end. And this is why this corrective structure is now also becoming interesting to me. If I switch this off and I look at this one, okay, Jack, let me just take the fib out the way and just show you what I mean. Okay, this corrective structure, by the way, I need to move this up. Okay, let's take that out the way. This is still a C here to the upside. Now also still becomes very interesting to me. So, remember what it says. Okay, all scenarios should be considered unless they all fail. Now this scenario, still, because we tap the invalidation for the X wave, it's not invalidated. It just means the reason I had the invalidation here for the X wave, it means that your Y wave has a high chance of not claiming this low. So if we make a three-wave structure that does not claim the low, theoretically your correction came to an end over here. This was not the end of your corrective structure. This is then your three-wave structure. Remember that the end of your corrective structure does not have to make a new low. It just needs time. Time is more important than where the low is. Okay, so all of this could still be part of a corrective structure. You make a higher low and you continue the bull run to the upside. A lot of people will look at the structure to say that, yes, this is impulsive, this is corrective, and now we're continuing to the upside. But can you see how the bullish case scenario also aligns with this bearish case scenario? The end result is you are still looking for a retracement, you are looking for a higher low, and you're looking for continuation. Whether the correction ended over here or whether the correction ends over here, I'm looking at a higher low for continuation to the upside. So this is where Elliott wave theory provides directional bias, because if I look at a bullish structure where the correction came to an end and I look at a bearish structure where the correction does not take the low, well, that gives me directional bias. That tells me that there's a high chance I have two scenarios that shows me that there's a high chance in making a higher low and then continuation to the upside. That's how I build up confluence and directional bias. But can you guys see how interesting it is that, okay, The and this corrective structure carries higher probability for the correction to have come to an end over here. I hope I'm explaining it in a way that you can understand. Okay, so for a WXYXZ, for the corrective structure to come to an end over here has the lowest probability. This corrective structure has a higher probability than the one that I've just explained, but the correction actually came to an end in June, end of June. And then a lot of people are going to look at this structure and say, no, this was the end. This was the end. This is the bullish structure. This is the correction. And now we're continuing to the upside. So at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter how you count it. Okay, the end result is exactly the same. Whether you count this as a WXY, whether you count this as a WXYXZ, which came to an end over here, the end result is exactly the same. You expect continuation to the upside. You expect a higher low to fall. Right, I'm not saying we're going to retrace this deep because this area does look like a nice little bouncing zone. So if price comes down here, definitely a zone that I will be paying attention to. Right, the WXY. Okay, now Jack, this is where it becomes interesting. Okay, the WXY that I have over here carries higher probability than the ABC. Okay. Right, so let me switch this off and switch on the ABC. Here we go. So the WXY that I've just explained carries higher probability than the ABC. You might be asking yourself why. Okay, because there's a couple of problems with this A wave here to the downside. There's a couple of problems. Contracting, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a expanding move over here. Then you have a B wave. So you basically have an A, B, C, a 3-wave structure in an A. The first wave is much longer than your second wave, okay, or longer in time. And then you have and basically you have another contracting diagonal. So what makes this scenario carry lower probability is that there's a couple of problems inside of this A wave. There's no invalidations, but there's a couple of problems. First of all, the biggest problem that I see without going into the details, okay, is that you have two diagonals inside of the same structure, which is incredibly rare. You have a expanding structure over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you have a contracting structure over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the structure is not the problem. The problem is having both inside of the same structure. That is incredibly rare. You either want to see it at the start of the structure or you want to see it at the end of the structure. But to have the start and the end in a diagonal is incredibly rare. Unfortunately, not an invalidation. And this is why the A, B, C carries lower probability than the WXY. Okay, so now I'm really trying my best here to explain to you how I come up with the probabilities. Okay, so in a nutshell then, I guess what I'm trying to say here over Legends is that now that I'm thinking about it, where's my, there we go. No, not that one. Where, 4 hour, there we go. Okay, so this corrective structure for now carries the highest probability. So the highest probability at the moment is that your low is in. But this could still be part of a corrective structure, W, X, Y, and you move towards the upside. Okay. And a lot of people will say, Dewald, you were wrong. This was the end of the corrective structure. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. My daughter likes to say it doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. Right? The end result is exactly the same. Whether the corrective structure came to an end over here or whether it's going to come to an end over here, you expect momentum back to the upside without claiming the low. Unfortunately, this is probabilities. And the ABC scenario could still be playing out, but it carries the lowest probability. Okay, guys, remember, nothing is ever guaranteed in the market, unfortunately. Okay, it's all just a game of probabilities at the end of the day. Right, but I must say that the structure that I'm seeing over here ties in very nicely with most of the altcoins that I have on my radar as well. It really ties in nicely with the altcoins as well. When I look at some of the altcoins structures like Ethereum, Fetch, Dogecoin, ICP, some of the big ones, when I look at these structures, okay, and I compare it to where Bitcoin is at the moment, it looks like this fits nicely together. Okay. Let's go through some more comments. And also the B wave looks 5 wavy. It should be a 3 wave structure. Quite right. Quite right. Mr. Jack, quite right. Okay. Very, very, very valid. Very valid. It looks very 3 wavy. So now you can see how the probabilities are starting to count against the B wave structure. Unless, okay, Jack, unless you get this and this, and then it falls down. Then you have a 3 wave structure. Okay, but you can see that we are still, this is now very, Jack, you actually raised something very interesting over here, because now that I'm painting this out over here, okay, I'm realizing a couple of things. Let me overlay these structures. Guys, remember to smash up the like button, okay, if you haven't done so already. Right, very, very interessante. Let me open up the ABC. Okay, let's overlay these structures quickly over here. Jack, you make a very interesting point, is that a B wave, okay, is not allowed to be a 5 wave structure. And now we can see a 5 wave structure here to the upside. Okay? But this 5 wave structure can turn into a 3 wave structure. So let me take the pen here out the way. Okay, let me drag the high here. The Y wave here, this corrective structure. Okay, here is your bullish case scenario. Okay, this is, let's just say this is your bullish case scenario. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC. Okay, to the downside, we're going to go up. This is your corrective structure scenario. WXY. But now also your B wave can turn into a 3 wave structure. And what do I mean by that? Okay, so let's put the B wave there. Okay, so what could happen is you fall down and you move up in another 5 wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have a 5, 3, 5, which is a 3 wave structure inside of a B wave that then goes down for a C. But can you see that all the scenarios has the same result, exactly the same result? Whether you get a 3 wave structure to the downside to still go and complete your B, whether you get the high to still go up and claim the high, or whether this is a end of a correction, this is a 5 wave structure, and this is a lower high for continuation to the upside, I'm looking at the all-time high to be claimed. Maybe even $120,000. So all of the scenarios, when I start combining them, now gives me directional bias. Looking at the bearish and the bullish case scenarios, it starts giving me directional bias. Because, Jack, you highlighted a very important point. Because this is a 5 wave structure, it would be very rare for the B wave to end over here. It needs a correction and another pump to the upside to form a 3 wave structure inside of a B wave. So the B needs to move up. It needs to move up. So whether this is an this is very interesting, guys. Whether this is an A, B, C, a W, X, Y, it continues. Whether that's an A, B, C, it doesn't. We're all expecting a higher low. So perhaps now the only scenario that's going to surprise the crap out of everyone is that what if we don't get this and it just continues? That is potentially the only scenario that's going to surprise and catch everyone off guard. I'm waiting for the WXY, I'm waiting for the ABC, I'm waiting for the 3 wave structure to the downside. And what if it doesn't come, it just continues to the upside? So that is a what if scenario that we need to keep in mind. And that what if scenario is the most bullish case scenario. Okay, doesn't carry a high probability, but it's never an invalidation. Is when I look at this structure here to the upside. Let's draw it out. Okay. Let's draw it out. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's draw it out over there. This is the most bullish case scenario that is not going to follow any structures that I've just highlighted. Okay, and then here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically what you have is, let me just make them different colors. Otherwise it becomes a little bit confusing. So basically what you have is you have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, wrong. I needed to count it like such. Let me take the brush out. Okay, you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. So it basically just continues to the upside. No retracement. Small little retracement here in your wave 4. That's all you're going to get. And we continue here to the upside. Right. But like I pointed out, legends, this scenario at the moment carries lower probability for one specific reason. Volume. There's no volume. Or there's not enough. Okay, because when you are now inside of the third wave of the bigger third wave, okay, so remember you've got 1, 2, 3, okay, and then in this 1, 2, 3, you're now busy with the third wave inside of the third wave, and what you would like to see is volume. You need to see decent damn volume kicking in. And at the moment, this is the only biggest reason that I can explain to everyone why the scenario carries lower probability and I'm still looking for a retracement is because of this. Okay, because if I count this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, that makes sense because this structure has the most amount of volume. The movement here to the upside is decreasing in volume, telling me that a potential deeper correction is on the cards, which means that that WXY could potentially start, playing out. Right, but that's still bullish, legends, okay? Considering all the bearish case scenarios and the bullish case scenarios that we've just discussed, okay? So basically what it looks like from a probability perspective is that if price had to slow down and start correcting here to the downside, the probabilities for now remain higher to create a higher low and continue to the upside. Okay. Right. Okay. I can't see numbers on screen. Can't see the numbers on the screen? I can see it. Not sure why you guys can't see it. Can you guys see the numbers on the screen? Okay. Right. I can try and make it bigger over here, legends, but I'm not sure if it's going to make a big difference. Okay. It could be that you are not streaming. I am on 100% over here. I don't like to make it too big because then I run out of real estate to do proper technical analysis. But it could be that you're not streaming on HD. It could be that you're streaming on a lower quality and you can't read the numbers. Okay, because I often watch my live streams after the fact, and I can clearly see the numbers when I watch the live streams. Okay, man, TA can be so interesting. Thanks, Dewald, for such a great explanation. Jack, I must thank you because you I actually get goosebumps when I think about it, is that I saw all the scenarios, but I didn't actually spend enough time to put them all together to now see, okay, now I have directional bias. So from a directional bias perspective, based on all the scenarios that I've shared over here, it looks like the highest probability, if we do get a retracement, is to form a higher low. Whether that's a B to the upside, whether that's a continuation of the bull market to the upside, I don't care. Okay, directional bias tells me that if we get a correction now to the downside, there's a high chance in forming a higher low and continuation to the upside. I don't care if it's a B wave, I don't care if it's a C wave, the directional bias says up. Okay, so Mr. Jack, absolute pleasure, man. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Remember, legends, if you'd like to come and trade with me, links are always down in the description, and it's your way to support the channel so that I can continue coming here to provide you guys with the technical analysis. Okay, I've got weeks. If you're not trading with weeks just as yet, go and give them a try. Right, if you deposit $100, you get $20 for free. If you deposit $1,000, you get $200 for free to trade with. So you don't even have to trade with your own cash. Okay, you have to leave your money there for 3 days, and then the 20% gets airdropped into your account. 25% discount on your trading fees. That makes a huge difference. And like my brother will also say, from a scalping perspective, he only uses Mexi and Weeks. Okay, because on Weeks, guys, and I have there's no affiliation from my perspective on Weeks' native token. I hold quite a bunch of Weeks' native token. I think it's WTX or something like that, because then you get more discounts. The 25 turns into 75% discount, okay, if you hold enough of the native token. And then when you do scalping, okay, fees are very, very, very low. It makes the scalping worth it. Right, and then I've got Bluffin here as well, guys. Bluffin, the more you trade, the more money gets airdropped into your account, and all you need is an email and a password. If you'd like to come and join our Legends Pro community, third link here in the description. Okay, right. Very interesting. I actually feel jacked up about the scenarios that we've discussed. Guys, I just need to check the time here quick. Okay, cool, Legends. I have unfortunately run out of time. I need to go somewhere. I'm going to miss it. Right, Legends, thank you so much for joining the live stream. I wanted to go through some alts as well, but I will do another live stream tonight. Okay, I will do another live stream tonight. We can go and have a look at some altcoins. There's a couple of altcoins I wanted to discuss. I've unfortunately run out of time. Have yourself an amazing afternoon, evening, and morning, and I will check you guys in the next one. Cheers for now.